The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 1717 700. Talking Scottish football first.
Yep, we sure are, every night at 5. This is Paul Cooney. Welcome to the new week. I'm here with two legends, Barry Ferguson, the legendary Rangers former, manager for a time last season, and captain. Evening, Barry.
I'm all good, thank you, Paul.
Excellent. And Mark Guidi, legendary writer in his day, but always one to come up with an exclusive story.
Hello, Paul.
Hello, Mark.
How are you?
Good, yeah. Cup weekend, no major shocks were there, but my goodness, Auchinleck Talbot did so well. They hadn't played since, 2 months, but they ran Celtic close. Celtic going through to the next round. 2-0, Barry, last night.
Yeah, listen, you've got to give Auchinleck a lot of credit. I thought the way that they were set up, listen, they weren't going to have a lot of the ball, but I thought defensively their shape was superb. They limited Celtic to very little chances. So they can go away feeling really proud of that performance. And Celtic, listen, it was all about, I suppose, what Martin Danilo says after the game. It was just making sure they got that win into the heart for the next round.
You were at the Rangers game on Friday night. Seems a while ago, doesn't it? Long weekend of football, and they saw off Annan.
Yeah, it was a routine victory. Again, Annan came with a game plan. He sat deep and try and frustrate Rangers. Look, Rangers made a lot of changes. I think it was important that a lot of players get minutes on the pitch. It was good to see Miovski get back on the score sheet. He got a hat-trick.
His first ever in Scotland.
Yep, so that was good. Hopefully that'll give him a bit of confidence. But look, it was, as I said to you, it was a routine victory for Rangers, and again they were into the draw. That was the most important thing.
Rangers in action in the Europa League on Thursday evening here in Glasgow. It's a dead rubber for them, but there never is, I know, if you're playing for Rangers. And Celtic off to Bologna on Wednesday, and they're in 24th position, so Bologna against Celtic. We'll no doubt talk about that shortly. Mark, for Celtic, it wasn't pretty last night, but they're through, and one of the headlines today is 14 days to go in the window, no other signings for Martin O'Neill's Celtic. We know he's only been in the building 2 weeks, but Maswanhise, top scorer at Motherwell and in the league, his name's being mentioned as a possible target for Celtic.
Yeah, I think there's probably 2 or 3 players at Motherwell you could throw into the mix, Paul, that have had really good seasons that would enhance the Celtic squad. Probably 1 or 2 would enhance the starting 11 as well, but Martin O'Neill, he wouldn't get drawn on any individual targets, but clearly running the rule over Motherwell because they have had such a good season, and there's clearly some very good players at the club. But I don't think Motherwell, Paul, would be in any hurry to sell anybody. They dug their heels in last January and kept a hold of Lennon Miller, then get $4.5 million for him. So, you know, I would imagine if anybody thinks they're going to go to Motherwell and nick any of their best players for £1 million, that's not going to happen. You'd be talking proper money, and Motherwell are quite right.
Barry, you could see last night again at Rugby Park, Celtic crying out for strikers, or at least one striker. How do you think Maswanhise would do?
I think he would do very well. I've watched him a number of times this season, Paul, and he stood out like a sore thumb, if I'm being brutally honest. But I agree with what Mark says there. I don't think Motherwell will let him go for buttons. They would expect a hefty fee, and rightly so, because he's been a standout performer for Motherwell this season.
How much would he be, do you think?
You'd be looking at £2.5-3 million all day long for him, in my opinion.
Mark?
Yeah, he's an international player.
Yep.
Paul, you know, he's got really good pace. He's clearly got an eye for goal. He's up amongst the top scorers, if not the top scorer in the country. Certainly in the top flight at this moment. So yeah, there's no doubt that Motherwell have unearthed a gem there, and credit to the coaching staff and to all the players at Motherwell for some of the players there really hitting the heights.
Celtic through to the next round. We heard the draw last night. Rangers through as well. Hibs not through. That was the shock of the weekend. A weakened Hibs losing to Dunfermline. More on that next. But first, here's Martin O'Neill at full time, and he was asked about being spotted at the Motherwell game.
That was a football mission. That's part of my job, to look at the games if I can get an opportunity. We did it after training, so I went there with Fotheringham, and yeah, it was nice. I would like to see. I enjoyed the game, so You lads, honestly, you're testing. Honestly, you're testing me to the utmost.
And they certainly are. So is the recruitment department. He was asked about, is he looking at Scottish talent?
Are you actively looking at the Scottish market? Or?
I was asked that question last week. Then I think there are players here. There's no doubt at all about it. That there are players here that are capable of playing. I think at a higher level.
So they'll need to move, 14 days to go. It's the 2nd of February when the window closes here in Scotland. Barry, your birthday, of course.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Big 48.
Yeah.
So hopefully Rangers will bring in another couple of players by that time, because they've been pretty busy. I like the look of who they've brought in so far, and I firmly believe that they're still in the market to bring in another couple.
Rangers fans, what are you thinking? Celtic fans as well. 0808 1717 700, the Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. Skov Ølsen was introduced to the Rangers fans along with the other 2 new signings before the game on Friday night, and he was asked afterwards with the media, what kind of player are you?
I am an offensive player, mostly on the wing. I would describe myself as a creative player. I like to, as I also said earlier, to set my mates up, do assists, shoot on goal, come inside, come outside, go to the back line, put some crosses. So yeah, hopefully I can contribute with the goals and assists.
And he's spoken to Brian Laudrup. What a recommendation to get from the great Dane.
I can tell you a bit about it. He first of all told me about his time here, about the club, the city, the people, and the time he had, how great it was. And he gave me some advice for the club and the city. So that was basically it. And then just a normal conversation about life.
It'll be intriguing, Barry, to see just how good he is going to be.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one. I'm sure many Rangers fans are too. If you look at his pedigree, been at Bologna, been at Bruges, obviously Wolfsburg signed him for a lot of money. I think it was £12 million. He's a Danish international, 40 caps. I think he's played well over 250 games in his career, and he scored a fair amount of goals. So he's certainly one that really excites myself, and I'm sure he'll excite the Rangers fans. And he's a good size as well. He comes, I think he's about 6'1", 6'2". Yeah. So the signings that are brought in are all over 6 foot. If you look at them, the 3 of them, so there's a bit of a physical presence amongst them, and that's something that I think is important to have, certainly domestically, Paul.
Mark, he's come with a great pedigree. Chukwani, we saw about him the other night as well.
Yeah, come off the bench. Yep. I mean, certainly on Skov Ølsen, I mean, first and foremost, I liked his chat there. You know, confident without being, but just giving an insight into what he can do. An insight into Brian Laudrup. It took me back because Brian Laudrup, as we all know, was one of the best players that's played in Scottish football in the past 50 years or so. But he was also, as you remember, Paul, he was a great guy to deal with. Yep. He was a gentleman with the media. He gave you an insight. And when you think back, some people say, no, Skov Ølsen, okay, what's happened to him at Wolfsburg? Can he be that good if something's happened? But you think the great Brian Laudrup with that wee sticky spell at Fiorentina, Italian football, and that's why Rangers ended up getting him, came, relaunched his career as one of the best players that Rangers have had. So Skov Ølsen, and I think that what Barry says as well, that presence, that stature, but he's very, very elegant on the ball. He's got a frame, and clearly it's deliberate by Rangers when they're going for guys that are all over 6 foot, and they totally understand that.
Yeah, I think if you listen to Danny Rowe's pressers over the last number of weeks, that's something that he's wanting to add, a physical side to Rangers game, Rangers team, sorry, should I say. And if you look at the 3 signings, they're all over 6 foot. So, yep, as I said to you, Paul, he's got a good pedigree. Sometimes when you make the move, sometimes it just doesn't work out. Yeah. A club doesn't suit you, doesn't make you a bad player. And this is maybe what he's needing, just this move to come and play a bit of football for the next 4 or 5 weeks. And I see also in the deal, Rangers can make it permanent. I think it's €10 million. So if he comes and he lights the place up, then certainly Rangers have done a good bit of business there.
He said, I'm very happy to be here.
First of all, hello everybody. I feel very good. Hello. Thank you. It was lovely to come here to Ibrox and meet the team, meet the fans and the people around. So a lovely night, a good win for the team. So yeah, I'm happy. The biggest club here in Scotland. When I heard the interest from Rangers, I just really want to go, and I'm super happy that it finally is done, and I'm here. So yeah, very happy.
Mark, he's well briefed by the PR department. He said, I'm joining the biggest club in Scotland.
Yeah, as they all sit and say when they sit down, whether you join Rangers, whether they join Celtic, that's what they say. They certainly can't say I've joined the second biggest club. So obviously they're briefed as to what they say, and that's fine. It's about what you do on the pitch, and I like the cut of his jib early on. You can just feel that, get a nice feeling about him, and he'll be hungry to do well. Obviously, with Denmark too involved in playoffs in March, so he's got things to go and try and get involved in, and go and try, like we say, Paul. All these guys, when they're coming to Rangers, whether it's a permanent move or a loan deal, and the last guy that Rangers got on loan for Wolfsburg was Czerny, which didn't do too bad a job last season. Is come and make us champions. Come and be a champion. In 4 months' time, you can be a champion for only the second time in 15 years. What a bit of motivation that must be for Danny Rule, for the board, for the supporters, and for any new signing. Come and make us better and get us over the line in the next 15, 16 games.
Yeah, well, you've got to respect his honesty, haven't you?
His aspirations.
No, listen, I quite like that. Mark's right. Listen, you don't expect somebody to sit up there and say something different. I like it. I like his chat. Now it's all about what you do on the grass, and I'm sure, looking back, and listen, I've been watching clips of him over the last couple of days. He certainly looks like a player that will definitely get the fans really excited.
Motherwell have signed a striker. Is this a sign that Maswanhise could be on his way? Give you more details shortly. Etior Borg-Golfson joining in a 2.5-year deal subject to a medical. So we'll keep an eye on that here with 14 days to go on the window. 0808 17 17 700, the Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. Celtic fans, you are desperate to know what's going to happen. I mean, I heard Martin O'Neill saying, I think we will get someone in before the end of the season. And Mark, he's got that way of disarming and de-escalating a situation. But you know it. Everywhere you go, Celtic fans want to know what's happened.
Yeah, he's playing it down. He's trying to make light of it. He's trying to, if you like, deflect from it. But it's a serious issue, and he is well aware of how serious this is. Because, Paul, there is absolutely no doubt. I would defy anybody that's watched the Scottish top flight, that's watched Celtic, Rangers and Hearts this season, to say that with that current squad, Celtic will win the league, that Celtic will get over the line. I'd defy anybody to say it. So there's a clear improvement needed. They need to get 3, 4, even 5 or 6, which is unlikely to get that many deals over the line when you've got 2 weeks to go. But right now, as it stands, Paul, the fact that Celtic haven't got a number 9 in, and at best, if they do sign a number 9 this week, at best he'll get 2 sessions with his new teammates. It's not auguring well for Sunday, and I don't think, in fact, I'm positive that Martin O'Neill and his staff would not want to be going to Tynecastle with the current squad on Sunday.
Well, what about the performance yesterday? 10 changes. It was only the captain who played from midweek. This was Martin O'Neill after the 2-0 win.
We weren't fantastic. We weren't. We never seemed to be comfortable enough with a lot of possession. We weren't able to break the team down often enough. And when we did create some chances, we missed them. But obviously delighted with the win, and it's the start of a big week for us.
It sure is. Of course, Bologna on Thursday. But he was asked, did the changes have a big effect on the team?
I'm sure of it, yeah. And that I probably wasn't really surprised about it. But there was a couple of things about it. One, I want to change the side around because there's a couple of players that have not played under me at this time that I'd like to have seen, and I did do. And I think making changes like that there does disrupt the flow of things. But so we saw that one through, and it was good. And obviously the preparation, the start of the week ahead.
And one of those players was £4.5 million signing in the summer at Balikwisha.
He did okay. He did all right in the game, yes. He was striving for a start for quite some considerable time, so he got it. And I know Apollo played under Wolford a couple of times. It was his first start under me as well too, so at least they got Apollo got the 90 minutes and Balikwisha got most of the game.
Barry, you didn't see much of Balikwisha. He had a great chance, and it can change somebody's career, but he ballooned it over the bar. What did you make of him?
Yeah, I didn't see too much of him. He wasn't really involved in the game, so it's hard to tell, Paul, if I'm being brutally honest watching it.
He kind of disappeared after that chance, didn't he?
Yeah, he's got to score. Definitely, but that comes down to confidence. He's not played much. He's really struggled since he's came to the club. And listen, that could have been the change in his Celtic career if that one had hit the back of the net. But you've got to take the chances, Paul. No doubt about it. And that's an opportunity, the players, to go and give Martin O'Neill a headache and a problem. I don't think they did.
Johnny Kenny got the first. And Tanecti, that was a great goal, wasn't it? A tiring Talbot, but to be fair, it was a beautiful strike, Mark. What are you thinking about Balikwisha?
Well, if you're going to have a future at Celtic, if you think you can be part of the first team setup, as in starting games, then he should be absolutely ripping it up, regardless of who's running about him. In terms of, give me possession and let me go and do my thing. So, Balikwisha, the fact that he's hardly kicked a ball for the first team under 3 managers, Brendan Rodgers, Wilfred Nancy and Martin O'Neill, I think tells you all you need to know. Right now, with the greatest respect, it looks like $4.5 million down the drain. And Balikwisha, Paul, moving forward, there's a major clear out required at Celtic in the summer. And Balikwisha would be, and for a number of reasons, Paul, even I would be moving on Hatate and Maeda in the summer, Johnny Kenny, Paulo Bernardo, obviously Kasper Schmeichel, Arne Engel, Shin Yamada and more. But there's some of the names that, if you're serious, there's a rebuild required. Whether that's Martin O'Neill's there in the summer to do it, or there's a new manager coming in, there's a lot of hard work ahead. And before I thought that Sinisal would be a number one, now I'm not so sure. I think Celtic maybe need to go into the market for a proper number one. They've been very lucky, not lucky, but they've been good in the past few years, like having Joe Hart and Kasper Schmeichel. They have been linked with Ortega at Man City, who I think is an outstanding goalkeeper. I'm not sure financially if he'd be out of their reach in terms of wages, etc. But Ortega is the kind of quality that Celtic should be looking at for a new goalkeeper in the summer. But to get back to the point, whether Celtic win the league or not, massive work ahead in the summer.
Barry, it's an overhaul for Celtic, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Mark's just rhymed off a number of players there that I don't think will be at the club next season. And again, I just go back to when you do get that opportunity, no matter who you're up against, whether it's Auchinleck Talbot or whether it's Rangers or Aberdeen or Hearts or whoever, you have got to show signs that you're capable of challenging to get into that starting 11. And watching the game, nobody really stood out for me, if I'm being honest. I mean, you've got to give credit, as I said, to Auchinleck. I thought they were fantastic yesterday. I thought the way that they were set up, they just let Celtic have possession of the ball, but Celtic never really hurt them at any stage, and that must be a worry for Martin O'Neill.
Celtic fans, what are you thinking? 0808 17 17 700. Quick break, and then we're going on the line. A Rangers fan next.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
Monday night, the Dream Team are here. Barry Ferguson, Mark Guidi and Rob McLean. No, we couldn't stretch it. Rob will be back soon in the programme. You know the draw last night for the Cup.
So.
Aberdeen against Motherwell, Airdrie against St Mirren, Dundee United against the Spartans, known as Spartans, Dunfermline against Celtic Hearts, Stenhousemuir Falkirk. What a result for Falkirk at the weekend, knocking out the Hearts, and Rangers against Stranraer or Queen's Park, Celtic against Dundee, Elgin City against Partick Thistle. Paul is on the line, a big Rangers fan. Hi Paul, good evening.
Hi guys, thanks for my
pleasure.
On tonight, Paul.
How are you, Paul? Were you at the match Friday night?
I was enjoying, well, I had a wee taste of hospitality, Paul.
Oof.
So I was in the hospitality, but
were you in the Barry Ferguson suite?
Nice.
Yeah.
I seen Barry walking past.
Aye.
I was in seeing I was fortunate enough to see Mark Gately and me, Alec McDonald. So
you can't have everything, yeah. No, there were two legends. I mean, Alec McDonald, what a player he was, and former Hearts manager as well. And Mark Gately, do you know, I worked with him for years on down the.
Listen, see, when you go in, it's brilliant to sit down with guys like Alec McDonald and Colin Steen.
Yes,
guys like that.
Scotland's first £100,000 player.
Just listening to their stories.
Yeah. And Big Mark, I mean, AC Milan.
I know.
It's phenomenal.
He lets you know plenty of times.
Does he? Does he say it, the big fella? Yeah.
Yep.
I signed him up a few years ago. He did
and
well
Monaco.
for us. Monaco. That's
Monaco.
right. Yeah. So thanks, Paul. We're moving on to the next caller now. That was your Friday night. No, Paul. What's in your mind then about Rangers?
So I was going to ask you a question before I make my main point.
Oh, you like a detour? Okay, on you go. Yeah.
You were saying there about an obligation to buy him if he does well, or a chance to buy him. But we had the same with Malik Tillman, didn't we? And then remember the Ronaldo on the deal, and Rangers got a couple of £1 million because I think I can't remember who it was changed their mind. Can that still happen, or is that a definite that we can do this?
I'm sure they wouldn't make the same mistake. No. What happened with Tillman? There's no doubt. I think they've got something in the contract that if he comes and he impresses, that they can go and do a deal. I know there was an issue with the Tillman stuff, but I'm sure they would have learned their lessons, Paul. Yeah. No doubt about that.
Okay, Paul. So what's your question tonight?
I just want to see. Look, happy we're getting the players in, the three guys. I think we're doing our business early, which is great, Paul, and I think that's something I've learned as well. But I'm still thinking we're missing a trick by getting Scottish players in that know the league inside out. And what do you think about that? What does Mark and Barry think about that? Do you think that's something we still need to work on as well?
Well, let's hear what the manager said first about the signings so far.
Yeah, I think general was a good week for us. We signed 3 players all in all today with Andy. The next one, he gives us experience one. He gives us a different profile on the right side with the left foot. He can score. No, all in all, I'm very happy. I'm proud what we do at the moment, but we have to be on front foot. We cannot do less. We have to be more and more. We are hungry. All in all, you feel it at the moment. There's big confidence back. There's proud back. But for this, we have to work hard that we continue like this in the next couple of weeks. And on Monday we start in a busy time.
Barry, will there be Scottish signings coming in?
Yeah, listen, I'm confident that they will look at the Scottish market. There's no doubt. If they believe the club that player can make a difference to the squad, then no doubt in my mind they will sign Scottish-based players.
Would it be any of the players that you had on the slate for the summer during the Thelwell months? In other words,
no, they're all
too late now.
Yeah,
Josh Mulligan, all that gone. Penrice?
No, he's in Athens. He's doing really well over there. I don't know what he signed, a 3 or 4 year contract. So, I mean, if you try to get him, you would be talking millions now.
Yeah.
I know they signed him for just over I think it was about £1.6 million. So, look, it is an area that closer to home. It comes up for debate quite a lot, but I'm more than positive that if they believe that there's a player that can certainly strengthen the squad, the Rangers will try and do it.
Mark, your thoughts on Rangers?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any form of snobbery with Danny Rowe. He doesn't come across that way. So if players are good enough, then I'm sure. Do you have anyone in mind, Paul? Do you have anyone in particular that you'd like to see Rangers go for, whether it be in this window or whether it be in the summer?
I thought the guy, is it David Watson, Mark?
Yeah, Commander. Yeah.
Young guy. I think he'd be a good shout.
Yep, I agree. I like David Watson. Yeah.
I like him. I just think that wee blend of Scottish players coming through and with your Skov Olsens and that. I think going back to the 90s and the early 2000s under Dick Advocaat, I quite like that mix. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
No, the league and everything else, Mark.
No, I think David Watson, that boy of that kind of ilk, young Scottish, knows the game. I love his energy. I love his enthusiasm. He's got a great desire to win. And when he scores, he's not been in the score sheet too often this season, but certainly in the previous couple of seasons, they were always belters. He scored a few cracking goals
from distance sometimes.
Yeah, and yeah. I think he's out of contract at the end of the season.
Look, I don't think you sign him for the sake of signing him. They have to be good players, and they have to. Well, the manager needs to think that they can go and make a difference to the squad. There is, as I said to you, Paul, there's always players up here I believe that they can do a job. That's one, Dave Watson, who every time I've watched Kilmarnock, I'm sure Terry and Dodgy will not be happy with me saying this, but he's a good young player. And there's a few more. Do you know who I've liked? The boy at Dundee, the centre half, Luke Graham.
Yeah.
He keeps impressing me every time I see him. So I think it's important, and I think Rangers know that it's important to, if you're not producing many, there's also clubs that have good young players who are playing first team football, who are getting that experience week in, week out. And I'm sure Mark made a good point there about Danny Rowe. I don't think he's ignorant in that way. If he thinks somebody will do a job for him, he wouldn't bother.
Friday night, Barry, the team was obviously much different. You saw players maybe playing for the last time. Miovski, I'm not talking about him, obviously, he's just a signing in the summer. The manager said, look, I think we need more scorers.
Yeah, I think general as attacking player, such a games are helpful. It's a big opportunity to score. We used this today. This is also what I expect demand from him. And next week, if two strikers they start to score, this is always a good option. And yeah, everyone is welcome to score more goals. I think don't forget also Taylor at the moment. I think now 5 games, 4 goals, very helpful. We need more of these players they can score because that helps.
Great goal from Taylor Ashgard, wasn't it?
Great free kick.
Yep.
Needs to be doing that on a regular basis. I know the manager just says that's 4 goals in 5 games. Brought in for a fair price as well, but if you look at the goal scoring charts for Rangers' point of view, there's not enough goals.
Yep.
That's an area where I think if the right player becomes available, Rangers will try and get.
What about Miovski? Is that the start now, the starter gun for him, Barry? Do you think he's going to come good?
Well, the next few weeks will tell. Not been disrespectful to Annan, but you expect Rangers to take a few goals off them, certainly at home. It's good that Miovski got that hat-trick, first hat-trick in the Scottish game. Now, go and let's do that in the league campaign.
And Chermiti, Mark, is he scored 2 weeks ago in the Celtic game, but the Rangers fans, they'd love it to work for him, but before the Celtic game, I think they'd almost written him off.
Yeah, I think he was written off, Paul. Then you look at the 2 goals that he got against Celtic, 2 very different kind of goals, but 2 brilliant number 9 goals, having that instinct to go near post for his first one in the lovely run, to go 35 yards, whether Trusty goes to meet him or not, he's still got to go and then slot it past Schmeichel, which he did. I think an ideal scenario for Rangers, and I think Danny Rowe would probably agree, is that you keep with Chermiti. There's something there. Yeah. Whether it comes out at Rangers on a regular basis, we don't know, but there's something there. Miovski, we know there's something there. He got his hat-trick the other night. We know that there's some. I think the ideal scenario for Rangers, if they can move Danilo on, whether it's in loan or whatever, if they can move him on, he's a huge earner, and bring somebody else in, bring another number 9 in. I think that would be the ideal scenario for Rangers over the next 2 weeks.
The challenge now to Chermiti and Miovski is, right, let's go and do this week in, week out. Yeah. But I have seen signs with Chermiti, obviously a brilliant double against Celtic, but over the last 2 or 3 weeks in games, he's certainly, he's a big, powerful striker. No doubt he's good in the air. His hold-up play is getting better. You obviously see the confidence is starting to come through. Now the challenge for him is the last 4 months of the season. We want to see this week in, week out.
Paul, what do you feel?
100% agree with Barry said. I've watched Chermiti a few times where it's against Hibs or St Mirren, Paul, and his hold-up play is getting much better as well, and he's getting the fan engagement. See, I don't know if you guys know, but I see the Scottish Cup. I was reading that Danny Rowe tried to bring in a couple of 15-year-old guys, and he was stopped because there's a wee rule in the SFA Scottish Cup, I think it is, saying you can't play anyone under 16. Is that true? And if so, do they do that in the FA Cup down south, or?
Barry?
I think there is a rule in place. Yep.
Got to be 16.
Yep. I think there is a rule in place.
Was there a truth in it, Barry? Did you hear anything about this?
Yeah, I know what Paul's speaking about. I seen it. Where did I see it? I think I seen it today somewhere.
You see everything.
The manager wasn't too happy.
Yep.
That was the.
Yep.
That was the rule, so yeah.
I'll tell you who is going to be.
Just like you want to bring young guys in, you would use that as an opportunity, Paul. Do you know what I mean? if we're trying to breed young people in the Scottish game, you would think you would try and embrace that. Do you know what I mean?
Here's Danny Rowe speaking about outgoings over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think we have to look what makes sense then also for the group. I think in the middle of February we have then more normal weeks. I think change a little bit, then you have less rotations. Yeah, if you have a team who's really running, then I will keep running. Then you have maybe some positions where you rotate and you look a little bit what you need for the next opponent. And yeah, in this case you have to look what makes sense to give players opportunities in other place. I think for Laya is a good opportunity to get minutes. For us it's helpful as well. And in this case we go forward.
Barry, the update.
Well, the outgoings have started. Lyle Cameron's went to Aberdeen.
What a start for him.
I watched him. Listen, he played a bit at the start of the season, then he picked up a couple of injuries. So I think the best thing for young Lyle is to go out and play games of football. And I thought yesterday, look, he tired towards the last 15, 20 minutes of the game. But he was Aberdeen's best player.
Got the assist as well.
He stood out like a sore thumb watching the game against Wraith Rovers. Now that's the start of it. I think over the coming weeks you'll see another 4 or 5 going out the door.
Rothwell probably. We saw him at the weekend.
Yeah, Inciala,
Dowell.
Kieran Dowell, Danilo. These are possibilities. But again, it's easy for us and people to say, right, people need to go out the door. Clubs need to want the players as well.
And match the money they get at Rangers.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mark, Rangers, there's going to have to be a clear out. You can hear it from Paul and other Rangers fans that are coming on. Billy, he is enjoying the discomfort for Celtic in the transfer window, but he is pleased so far with the window for Rangers.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're pretty much at the halfway point of the window, so I think if you're a Rangers supporter, if you're Danny Rule, you've got to be pleased with so far. I think if you are upstairs in the financial office, you need to start getting some money off the wage bill. So like we said, Barami as well, Dowell, Matondo, Danilo, Rothwell, that's more than much over £100,000 a week that you want to get out the door. If you can make it permanent, or the better, but even if it's in loan. So yeah, there's been money spent. The Rangers board deserve credit for backing the manager and for really going for it so far. And there's still 2 weeks of the window to go, still a wee bit of work to be done, but an important part of that, Paul, is helping to balance the books.
Yeah.
Not only financially, but as Danny Rule pointed out as well, for the group, you don't want to be turning up for training with 32 bodies. You know, it's too many. You can't keep them all happy rather. So you need to reduce that, and they'll be working really, really hard behind the scenes to get 5 or 6 boys out the door.
Yeah, the squad's top heavy. There's no doubt about it. And listen, it started, as I said, Lyle's out. Lyle's went on loan, and I think over the next week or two you'll certainly see another 4, 5 and possibly 6 players go.
What's the ideal number of a squad, Barry? If you're managing them, how many do you like to have in the first team squad?
Well, see, over the next 2 or 3 weeks, it's going to be Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, and then, as the manager just says there, I think it's towards the end of February, it quietens down, it goes to 1 game a week. But you've got to be careful with suspensions, and listen, injuries happen. So you've got to generally carry a squad in between 21 and 25 players. But at this moment in time, Rangers is way above that, and that's why they have to trim it down a bit.
Paul, thanks so much for your call. Lots of calls coming into the Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. 0808 17 17 700. What about the farce last night that was the AFCON final, Mark, with Morocco and Senegal?
Yeah.
And then they walk off and they come back on after 17 minutes.
Yeah, I've not really watched I've not watched any of the AFCON, to be honest, Paul, but I did tune in last night when the headlines and the story was breaking. You don't like to see that, walking off, led by the manager. Okay, the decision, you could debate it, but was it that outrageous where you would actually walk off the pitch? No, it wasn't for me. And then the penalty kick, I mean, I don't know what he's thinking about.
The Panenka.
I mean, it's ridiculous to be trying that. And Senegal going to win it. I didn't realise, but Barry can pick up on the point he made about Manny.
He was. You could see that he stood out in the pitch and he went in, and obviously he demanded that his players come back out, because it wasn't a good look, was it? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And he's a hero, Manny. Let's be honest. He's a captain. He's everybody looks up to him in his country. And they went on to win it in extra time with an unbelievable goal. Just the downside, Egan man, Hamza, come on for Morocco, and it looks to me if he's done his ACL. He was only on a couple of minutes.
You liked him, didn't you? You know, obviously.
Yeah, I just don't think the Scottish game suited him.
In what way?
I don't know. I think he's more suited to where he is now. He's in the French league. But listen, there's no doubt he had unbelievable technical ability. He'd done some things with a ball that were unbelievable at times. But yeah, it just wasn't a good look. I didn't watch the game, and then you could see it was coming across Sky Sports News, and then you turn it over, and it was just it was a bit of a mess for about 15 or 20 minutes, but thankfully they get the game finished, and Senegal obviously won it.
Could Barry Bannon boot his way back to Scotland? Motherwell, I see, reported to be interested in the man at Sheffield Wednesday. 36 now, international caps as well. Barry Bannon, good player.
Yeah, he's a great football player. I know there's a lot of issues with Sheffield Wednesday, but if he left there, they would be they'd be finished. He's their main guy in the middle of the pitch. He's their leader. But listen, that'd be a brilliant signing if that was the case for Motherwell, because he can dictate a game for the middle of the pitch. Barry Bannon, great left foot, as we all know. So yep, I seen that. I seen that a couple of days ago. There's a fair bit of interest down south in him as well, and you can see why. But if Motherwell managed to pull that off, that would be a cracking signing.
Loads of calls coming in. Celtic fans, it's going to be Peter after this.
Show with Burger King.
Yep, let's go back on the lines. Peter is calling through to Barry Ferguson, Mark Guidi and Paul Cooney. Hi Peter, good evening.
How you doing, guys, all right?
Yeah, we're good, thanks. I think, yep. How are you? What are you thinking?
Just, my point is, I've been obviously sitting for the start of the window looking to see who Celtic are ever going to sign this summer, but you see today a game I went with this guy, Phil Lorient, who scored one goal in 16 games, and then we're looking at a guy, Fofana, who knocked us back. No disrespect for Charlton. And I just think if you're going to go for a guy who scored one goal in 16 games, just stick with Johnny Kenny. Do not. What is actually the point? You're not going out there and improving the team. You're just adding numbers, and it's absolutely pointless. The guy Fofana, I mean, it's clear to me that there's no transfer strategy whatsoever. Obviously, they get rid of all these guys, but you're not telling me Martin Neal's looking at a list of players and going, get me the guy for Lorient who scored one goal in 16 and get me this guy for Chelsea who... he's absolutely rank rotten. Let's not kid on about it. And this is what we're getting left with. Why not just go to Motherwell, take Elliot Watt, the other boy up front, and go to Hibs and get Billig and get boys in the league who can maybe push you to win the title.
Mark, Elliot Watt and Maswanhise from Motherwell rather than Fofana, who's faffed about.
Yeah, I mean, they're both very good players. Fadinger, I believe, I hear a lot of people talking about Fadinger in midfield, as Saeed said as well, for Motherwell. So I hear a few people talking. Look, there's no doubt that Motherwell have a talented squad. In terms of Fofana, Peter saying he's ranked rotten. I don't know what Peter's basing that on. I don't know if you've watched him live over a number of games this season, Peter, but I think you've been a wee bit disrespectful. He is a professional football player. Whether he's right for Celtic or not, I'd agree with you. There'd always be question marks. Is it Bamba? Is that the fella's name from Lorient?
Yeah, one goal.
As well, obviously, you look at his record at the moment. It's not something that would get you excited, but there might be something there. Just like we were speaking about earlier with Skov Ølsen. He's a good player. It's just not, for whatever reason, it's not quite happened at Wolfsburg. So you've got to take all these things into account. All that I can say with certainty is that Martin O'Neill and the staff are working incredibly hard to get some quality players in to enhance the squad to go and try and win the title, and that starts on Sunday afternoon at Tynecastle, because if Celtic lose on Sunday afternoon, I think it's game over in terms of the league. So they need to go there and obviously try and win the game, or at least get a point. But in terms of number 9, it's something that should have been addressed in the last window. Something that's been addressed 6 months ago, Peter, not just for this window.
Barry, what about Maswanhise? Elliot Watt, maybe?
We spoke about him at the start of the show. He's certainly a player that's impressed with Motherwell. You obviously seen Martin O'Neill was at the game and he get questioned it, but he always answers it in the right manner. He's not getting drawn into anything, is he really? But I think he is a player that would certainly enhance Celtic because he's been here. Now he knows the league. He understands it. He totally gets it. And as I said to you, every time I've watched Motherwell, and I've watched Motherwell live when he came to Ibrox, and it was a standout, along with 3 or 4 of their players in general as a team. And I said to you about this, they were the best team I'd seen this season, Motherwell.
Peter, how could you get to this position, your football club, to go from such a position of strength? February of last year, we all know the story. Bayern Munich, what was it, 93rd minute or whatever, Celtic covered in glory. And now they're covered in the worst possible way, in that it's a shambles.
I totally agree. It's a shambles. But you actually think back, this is just seemed to be what Celtic have done. It was the same when they had the chance to do 10 in a row. They kept guys who didn't want to be there. Done the same again, and then they seem to be reactive. So we'll wait. The way they waited till the summer, got Ange in, he got the players who could make us better, got them in and won the league again, and then you start to dominate a bit again, and them have just slept at the wheel. And it's crazy to think that there's obviously other crazy rumours about that it was Paul Tisdale that got left to pick the manager. And if you look at his record, what right in any place did he have the right to go and pick a manager? And that is, I've heard that everybody say it. The famous saying, he was in the wrong movie. I don't even think he knew what movie he was in, to be honest. I think he thought he was going to turn up and could just talk nonsense and get himself with it. But it didn't. I just don't get why you would just let it get so bad. As you said, Kyogo left this time last year. Yeah. Dida, who scored quite a few goals, but he probably wasn't going to be good enough either. And then
you'll never know. Maybe Ida would have been. I mean, Charlie Mulgrew had him down for 30 goals this season. I know he didn't have a great start. Peter Grant thought he should stay as well. Who thought it was a good idea? Mark, it is remarkable the way it has changed, hasn't it? The way that Celtic have gone from being so assured in the market, because they had a great track record. I mean, that board, the people running the club did brilliantly. But this season, they're so far off the mark, it is hard to believe that, the Balikwisha at $4.5 million, no striker. That's a year almost to the day since Kyogo left. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Celtic over the past number of years, Paul. They've always carried at least one player with a market value in excess of £20 million, even 2 or 3 in excess of £20 million. They've always created that model. It's not always been perfect. They've left a lot to be desired with some of the signings as well. But in the main, they were good operators when it came to that. However, now you look at the Celtic squad and it's just it's tired. It needs freshened up. And what would they give to have Adam Ida just now? I don't know the full circumstances of why Adam Ida was sold. I don't know. Did the boy push it? Did the club push it? Did Brendan Rodgers push it? I genuinely don't know. But what I do know is that it was the wrong call, whatever happened. Because they don't have a proper number 9 at the moment.
And in fairness, Peter, you mentioned, in 2020-21 that Celtic made wrong decisions. They did, but they kept people, was it like Edouard, because they thought they could make it 10 in a row. So they actually were still investing in players, some of whom, with hindsight, Mark, they wanted to go. But at the start of that season, Celtic thought they were doing the right thing to keep a strong squad that should have been strong enough to win it. But then Rangers came up and won it by 25 points.
Yeah, again, I was probably, all sorts of different circumstances going on with COVID. It was a crazy spell all in, not just for football. But I look at Celtic's recruitment in terms of who they did bring in. And there was the goalkeeping situation when they brought in Barkas was just a monumental error, and their sort of number 9 buy was Albin Ayeti.
Wow.
And I've heard the argument that Albin Ayeti was a Swiss international player at that time, and that was what gave him the edge over Ivan Toney. Now, how anybody could seriously look at that and go for Albin Ayeti over Ivan Toney when you had Ivan Toney in the building and wanting to sign, but Ivan Toney would have cost you maybe £1 million more than Albin Ayeti. So maybe it was the fact that it was £1 million more. Anyway, that's what really got it. As much as Rangers were brilliant that season, didn't lose a game in the league, adapted to the circumstances, But Celtic certainly didn't help themselves.
But it shows you, Barry, how quickly it can change. If you can,
do you know what? Just listening to Mark there, it's mental the way that you put that across there. Ivan Toney for what was it, £6 million?
Yeah,
6.5. Yeah, and look what that was from Peterborough.
Yeah.
Look what he's been on to achieve. England international. I know he's playing over in Saudi now. But yeah, if you look back and think it over the years, there's been a few mistakes made in the transfer market.
Peter, the board, you wonder what's going to happen next. Do you think you're going to win the league? What do you feel now? 6 points in it with Hearts. I know Sunday is massive.
I think if you beat Hearts at the weekend, then you're still in it. But I think if you end up going 9 behind, it's a big ask. And you obviously made your point about the board. I don't know if I'm reading it wrong, but is the Celtic board not moving with the times? Are they stuck back in the times where they were getting players cheap enough that then, for example, Motherwell, $1.5 million selling for 25? Are they still stuck in that mentality, trying to find a wee nugget all the time instead of taking the chance? I mean, a chance, there must be a striker that you could go, right, I'm going to keep Kelechi Iheanacho as my backup striker just because he's injured quite a lot, can come on, have Johnny Kenny as the third choice, go and buy a proper number 9 for £5 million, and then he could score you 15 to 20 goals this season and fly you to the league. It's good now, it's the summer, and I just don't see that's how it's getting looked at. If you actually look at the players that keep getting linked, it seems to be the same ones. There never seems to be a new name. It's the same guys.
All right, 14 days to go. Thanks, Peter, for your call. Martin O'Neill was asked yesterday about transfers. Very short answer, because obviously he was at Rugby Park.
Yeah, we are very, very hopeful that we will get some people in.
By the end of the season, I think there was a quip jocularly on that one. 0808 17 17 700 after the Cup weekend. We parked that for a wee while. We got the draw there, and Celtic fans are coming on. Mark is on from Curluke saying, can't believe it, same old story. What's happening, Celtic? And when they're going to hear from Dermot Desmond, who was quick to come out 20 minutes after the news that Brendan Rodgers resigned. And there's been nothing since then. His son, Ross, who's not on the board, spoke, though. He obviously feels in a strong position as the biggest shareholder at Celtic. What's Dermot Desmond saying as Celtic head midway through the January transfer window, and it's Hearts who are setting the pace? Although Barry, Lawrence Shankland, that was a blow at the weekend, and every football lover would hope that he's back soon and playing, but that's a worry for Derek McInnes.
Yeah, listen, he's their talisman. There's no doubt he's been exceptional this season. We've not heard how long it's going to be, but if he is going to be missing for a number of weeks, that's a body blow to Hearts.
I think as well, I was saying the other night, Paul, you look at Hearts' 5 their next league games. Yep. Obviously Celtic on Sunday, there's an Edinburgh derby, they go to Ibrox on the 15th of February, and they go to Tannadice and the new St Mirren ground. That's their next 5 league games. Look, they're all tough. I get that, particularly at this stage of the season now, when you're starting to see the finishing line. Every game is a challenge, but and normally I always think when you don't hear the news, it means it's longer term. Whereas sometimes you think it's only a game or two, a week to 10 days. But when you don't hear something specific, that tells me that it could be a bit of a problem.
And that could be bad news for Scotland as well. I know we've got 4 to 5 months to go to the World Cup, Barry, but that will the clock will count down as well to the World Cup.
Yeah, listen, everybody wants to make themselves available and get on that plane to America. There's no doubt. So it'll be interesting to see, hopefully for Lawrence Shankland's sake, he's fit for Sunday, for my sake, because he's a big miss. But listen, that's why Hearts have got a decent squad when you look at it. If he is going to be missing for a number of games, Paul, they have got a decent squad. There's still plenty of time left in the transfer window, so Devlin's out as well, I think, who's another key player for
8 weeks, Barry.
For 8 weeks. So don't be surprised if Hearts dip back into the market and bring in a couple of players.
So I just want to ask Barry, Paul, sorry, with your Rangers hat on, Barry, what's your ideal score on Sunday?
Yeah, good question. I'd have to go a draw.
Go for the draw on that one.
A draw.
What about Falkirk at the weekend? 1-1 with Hearts, through in penalties. What a day for the new signing. Parkinson, he scored their goal and then scored the winning penalty.
Yeah, but the job that he's done, they've went quietly about their business because everything's been about how Hearts have been, and rightly so, because Hearts have been exceptional. Rangers had their problems at the start of the season. Now Celtic are having their problems, but Falkirk are just going about their business. And what a result that is to go to Tynecastle. It's a difficult place to go, but John McGlynn and that squad of players deserve every bit of credit they get, because what a season they're having.
Mark, they sure are. It's a brilliant story.
Oh, great. You know, I mean, I think that's what, you know, when you look up and down at our 12 teams, Paul said it before, but look at Derek McInnes, what he's doing. You look at Mark Danilo over his 2 spells, you know, you see it, they're all John McGlynn, Askew at Motherwell, Danny Rule at Rangers, you know, some terrific managers.
Just great point. We're going to run the rule over them after the news. That's next.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 17 17 700. Talking Scottish football first.
Thanks, Shaban. We sure are every night from 5. Thank you for making the switch. More and more of you listening on the Go Radio Football Show with Burger King on DAB, wherever you get your podcast, and now on YouTube as well. If you think you can predict the weekend's SPFL results, we're giving you the chance to take on our score predictor. With Shawfield Timber, predict the weekend's Premiership results as either a win, a loss or a draw. Get them all right. And next Monday, you could be walking away with £1,000. Register now at thisisgo.co.uk for your chance to win. Barry Ferguson is here tonight. Mark Guidi too. Quite a lot of calls coming in and comments. But the fans in general, Barry, after a weekend when, you know, in the west of Scotland, no major upsets in the Cup, then by and large, Celtic fans not happy with the lack of transfer, but they're happy that Martin O'Neill, 3 games, 3 wins. And Rangers fans at the moment thinking things are looking pretty rosy.
Yeah, they are, certainly with the results on the pitch, Paul, and obviously new recruits coming in. 3 players that Rangers have chased now for a couple of months since the new managers come in. I think they'll definitely strengthen the team. There's no doubt in my mind about that. So, yep, in terms of the Scottish Cup, as you say, the only probably surprise result was Neil Lennon's Dunfermline. I think that was a brilliant win against Hibs. I know Hibs are missing a few players, but you've still got to go and do the job, and they've done the job and made sure they get into the next round, and they've got a real opportunity going further in the tournament because they've drawn a local derby in my old club, Celtic Hearts.
Is it a real rivalry there in the Kingdom of Fife?
Well, of course, they're only a couple of miles apart, so I'm sure there'll be a full house. Celtic will bring down quite a few fans, but yeah, if you look at the result, the draw, I was watching it. It was good to see Stephen Davis. He was doing the draw.
Of course, your old teammate. Yep.
There's no kind of ones that kind of stuck out for me, if I'm being honest.
Stenhousemuir Falkirk. What a result. Peter Grant on Friday night said Stenhousemuir will win. And my goodness, they battered Morton, Mark, didn't they?
They did, yeah. I didn't see that. I didn't see that coming at all. And credit to Stenny, to Gary Naismith. You know, going about his business there. He's had 1 or 2 cracks at management. You never know. Maybe he's got one to go higher. And of course, they will, really relish the next round draw as well, as you say, Paul. Derby game, Stenny Falkirk after beating Morton, and that's, you know. I don't know what the TV selections are yet, Paul, and obviously they're always between the BBC and Premier, they'll always pick Celtic and Rangers, and I understand that, but get the cameras along to Stenny to Oakleview. What a game that'll be, Stenny Falkirk.
Good shout.
He's done some job, Gary Naismith there. Yep. Got them promoted. I think they're sitting top of the league.
They are. Yep. Top of
League One. What a result against Morton.
What's he like as a guy?
Yeah, Gary, good guy, good player as well. Gary Naismith, good.
Went under the radar quite a lot. He was on.
Yeah, but listen, he done great for Hearts, didn't he? Got his move down to Everton, then went to Sheffield United. I think towards the end of his career, I think when he got into his 30s, he suffered a couple of serious injuries. But Gary Naismith was a right good left back.
Mark, who's going to be the Aberdeen manager? Because Motherwell is... I mean, Aberdeen finally getting a win at the weekend. They really had to under Peter leaving. It's a long run without a goal even, but they did.
Yeah, I mean, as we say, Paul, in the Cup, a win's a win, and Aberdeen go notch up the victory. They get a clean sheet as well. Another home tie against... Motherwell, which will be a cracking game as well.
Not the time Motherwell would have won, though, is it really, in a way?
But I don't think, I have to be honest, Paul, it depends what new manager comes in, could be a new manager bounce, etc. But see, when you look at all the grounds, and if you were going for an away game, if you're going for an away fixture, right now I would pick Pittodrie as one of the ones that you would want to go to. I'd rather be going to Pittodrie than Tynecastle or Firth Park or Easter Road or even Falkirk. So I think Motherwell will relish that, and Aberdeen will relish the fact that it's a home tie. Who's going to be the next manager? I still say it'll be a German, somebody that Ferenstein knows that he can work with, that if he does want to get into the dugout technical area at any point, that he's not going to get any pushback from whoever the head coach is going to be. I heard somebody mention Gary Rowett as a possible contender. I can see the merit in that. I think he's got a really good CV, but not sure yet. But I'm pretty sure it'll be Ferenstein that'll be picking it.
A great job for somebody, isn't it? Because Dave Cormack has put in lots of money and always does at Pittodrie.
Big budget, spent a lot of money in players in terms of transfer fees as well. But listen, I've watched Aberdeen obviously over the last couple of weeks closely, coming down to Ibrox, and then obviously up at Pittodrie last Sunday, and they're struggling. They're really struggling at this moment in time. They're low in confidence, you can see that. Look, Lyle Cameron gave them a bit of a spark yesterday, but a lot of Aberdeen fans weren't too happy with that signing.
See, there was a banner beforehand, no old firm players here. What?
Yeah, I know, but listen, one thing Lyle Cameron will do, will make Aberdeen better, and that was proven yesterday.
Yeah, he supplied the goal.
So listen, just let the boy go up there, and one thing about him, he'll get his head down, he'll give it everything, and you seen that yesterday with his performance.
Yeah, he supplied the ball across for Jack Milne, who did what he did in the cup final, Mark, and it's a huge one for them. So Aberdeen, Motherwell. Airdrie St Mirren, that could be banana skin for Stephen Robinson's St Mirren, because they're having a tough time just now.
They are having a tough time, although a good victory for them to go to Livingston in the cup and win that game. They've now got another really tricky away tie. I think Airdrie put out a broth, I think, didn't they?
Penalties
the other day there, which is it's a good scalp to take, because Arbroath have been doing well, and Aaron Taylor Sinclair, a young manager in it. Airdrie, so Paul, that's almost like a toss of the coin. St Mirren would be slight favourites, but since they won the cup, and what a fantastic achievement for Stephen Robinson, the players, but they've not been doing well. And I noticed after Tynecastle the other night, they've got a man advantage. I thought their performance was shocking. I mean, it really was. I'm not saying they should have gone and won the game, but how they went about their business, and I noticed Stephen Robinson called them out. Had a go at his players, and when you do that, that's a manager at the end of his tether, because they very rarely do that. Now, I don't mind it. I know a lot of people say, you can't do that, but sometimes if you've tried everything, and it's not just 1 or 2 games, that's over a period of 7 or 8 games. If you've tried everything, that's your last resort, then go for it. And see, if I'm a player, I wouldn't be taking the huff of the man. Actually, do you know what, the manager's right? He's got a point. I should be doing better.
Players don't take enough responsibility often, Barry, so do you agree with
They
Stephen?
don't, and I agree sometimes. Listen, not every single week or you have a bad result that you can come out and have a go, but I think there's a time and a place, and I think he was right to do that. And looking at this St Mirren squad, I think they're the type of players and the type of personalities that will take that in the chin and go and work even harder now to get back to winning ways, because they're a good team, St Mirren. They've proven that over the last number of years. He also has to make a lot of changes every summer, because he does lose his best players. But listen, I think they'll be fine. They're just going through a bit of a sticky patch at this moment in time. I think they'll get back to winning ways.
Luke's been on 0808 17 17 700 from Paisley, a St Mirren fan, saying, Barry, what do you reckon tomorrow night? League game, Livy, bottom of the table against St Mirren. Who do you fancy on this one?
Listen, that's a good one. But if you're asking me, I'm going to go St Mirren.
Going for St Mirren?
Yes.
My goodness, they need it. Mark, what do you feel? Your old team?
Yeah.
You're not so sure, are you?
No, I'm not.
What, Livy at bottom, 10 points?
Yeah. And
Kilmarnock 14.
They won one game that was back in August, Paul. It's incredible.
August?
Wow. Yeah, Livy's won. St Mirren won 1 and 6 in the league. I'm kind of tempted to say a draw, but if I'm forced to pick a winner, I would go Livy to win.
Yeah.
See, the reason why I'm saying that, I'm thinking Livingston St Mirren are going to Livingston thinking, right, we can get a bit of daylight between us. I think if they win against Livingston, they go 11 points. They win again, they'll go, is it 7 points, Kilmarnock?
Yep.
So that's the reason why I think St Mirren will just nick it.
The headlines last night were Celtic go through to the next round after a 2-0 win against Auchinleck Talbot. The Celtic manager paid tribute to the part-timers from Ayrshire.
My view,
How did you feel they performed?
I thought they did great. They did really, really great. We'd watched them before. I'd seen. It's the lovely thing about modernity now. You can be able to see opposition, and they play with a lot of spirit. Manager's done wonderfully well. He's been here since my first spell, apparently, way back. And so they played a lot of spirit, and I think they acquitted themselves really, really well.
That's incredible, Barry, isn't it? Sorry, he's been there quarter of a century. They did so well. Celtic are through, though.
Yeah, look, again, as I said to you, I thought their setup was very good, but credit to them, because they've not had a game, I think, was 4 or 5 weeks. Yeah. I thought their fitness levels were brilliant. Yep. So fair play to them. They ran themselves into the ground. They gave it everything. Just a wee bit of quality at times. Certainly with Celtic getting that second goal, that was a bit of quality coming in for the side, and it was a great finish. Goalkeeper, no chance. But listen, they can hold their heads high because they gave a brilliant account of themselves.
Martin O'Neill assessed the Celtic performance.
We weren't fantastic. We weren't. We never seemed to be comfortable enough with a lot of possession. We weren't able to break the team down often enough, and when we did create some chances, we missed them. But obviously delighted with the win, and it's the start of a big week for us.
And Mark, it's going to be Celtic Dundee in the Cup, a Tommy Gemmell final. For the older listeners who remember Tommy Gemmell, well, everyone I think knows Celtic, Tommy Gemmell.
Tommy freed me at Albion Rovers, I knew a player.
Of course, that's right. But he had his time at Dundee as well, as manager.
Yeah, Dundee manager, great character, obviously scored the goal for Celtic, 1967 European Cup final, scored the goal against Feyenoord in 1970. I think that's one of the things that Martin O'Neill says when Tommy Gemmell went to Nottingham Forest later on in his career. Martin was a young player there, and they said to him, "Oh, Tommy, it's a great privilege to see you at Nottingham Forest. I've watched your work at Celtic. How did it feel to score a goal in a European Cup final?" And Tommy Gill says to him, "Which one, son?" So but
67 and 70, wasn't it?
And we were mentioning, or I was mentioning managers, coaches before the break, Paul, and of course Stephen Presley coming into that. I genuinely thought Dundee would be away, as in I thought they would finish bottom this season, but when you look at what they've achieved, they've still got a bit of work to do, clearly, but you've got to give credit to Stephen Presley and to Barry Nicholson for the job that they've done at Dens Park this season.
It's incredible, Barry, isn't it? Everyone thought he was going to be a bit of a whipping boy there. I mean, he's just everything. He's not your stereotypical football manager.
No, he's not, but you've got to give credit where credit's due. They've had some big results this season, but now they're starting to find a bit of form and a bit of consistency, and that's another good one. I know it wasn't in the league, but at the weekend, going a goal behind, coming back to beat Kilmarnock 2-1. But Stephen Presley's certainly getting a kick out of the Dundee players, and they've got some good players up there that can damage you. No doubt about it.
Rangers will be up against either Stranraer or the team that changed your life last year in your history, Barry. You were a legendary
I'd never
Rangers captain, but the Queen's Park result, and I know the St Mirren a few days later. But nearly a year. Can you believe it? Phones me on the Sunday night. He said, "You'll know why I'm calling." I said, "I didn't until I realised." I said, "I won't be too difficult to deal with if you go to Rangers." And
you want the assistant manager?
There is history. There is a story. What about the cup run? How important then? Because Rangers fans are enjoying it just now. Danny Rowe was asked after the win at the weekend, how important is it to go deep into the cup?
I think in general we can play for 2 titles at the moment, and I think this is what we want. In the cup you need less wins to be in the final, I think it's a great opportunity. Yeah, we want to push. I think we are hungry. I feel it in the changing room at the moment. I think it was a big statement in Aberdeen when I felt the dressing room inside after the win was really fantastic. It showed me that there is something growing. There's a connection. There is a belief. There is a trust to each other, and it's really fantastic to see.
I'm talking nonsense, of course. I'm saying go deep into the cup. Rangers need to get to the final, Barry. I mean, as a Rangers manager, that's...
They have to make sure they're in the final. There's no doubt about it. They're in two competitions. You said this a couple of months ago in terms of the league. I thought deep down there was no chance, but you've got to give them credit. They've come up with some big results, and now they're in the last 16. But it's not about getting to the quarter-final or the final. The semi-final. They need to make sure they're in that final with a chance of winning it at the end of the season.
Mark, he was talking then about players, giving them opportunities, which he did. There were so many changes against Annan the other night. Could have been a gamble, but probably not. He spoke afterwards about the fringe players.
Yeah, I give them opportunities for some minutes. I think when you have such a busy schedule and you come from an injury, then the training session is less. It's a lot of load management and some tactical parts, and it's important to get also this bigger picture in 11 against 11. We used this today, some good performances, and not more. I think for us it's important now to recover the next 2 days, and then we have big games ahead of us. We know this, and now it goes really in the exciting time where we play for, and for this we have to be ready.
Mark, Barry said in the first hour, the game with Ludogorets, Rangers are not going to proceed in the tournament, but does it get back to his strongest team, do you think, on Thursday night?
Yeah, I think, momentum getting in. I think also as well, you've got I don't know if obligation is the right word, but the Rangers supporters have paid for their packages. I think if you're a Rangers player, I know it's not all in Danny Rule because he took over when Rangers were deep into the Europa League, but they've not won a game yet in the Europa League. You don't want to go through a campaign without winning a game, so certainly considering the final games away to Porto, that this would present the best opportunity of winning a game, showing what you're about. Won't be easy, of course, but there's certainly you want to go and do something. And on the Scottish Cup, Paul, you look at with Hearts being out, look at the draw, there'll be a maximum 5 SPFL top flight teams can be in the last 8. I would make Rangers the favourites for the Scottish Cup for sure.
All right, so Rangers, you reckon, to beat, whatever comes their way, Hearts are out of it. So in other words, you reckon they're going to be the strongest team in the cup?
Yeah, at the moment, looking at the squads and the way things are going, I would have Rangers as favourites for the Scottish Cup.
Think they'd be strong enough to go all the way in the league and the cup?
Well, there's no doubt. There's no doubt that Rangers could do a cup double. Absolutely, Celtic could do a cup double. Hearts could win the league. I think genuinely, Paul, I think it's very, very open. But that's me thinking that Celtic will get a couple of quality players in the next 2 weeks. That's not a gimme. Like I said, I've made it very, very clear. If Celtic do not add quality to their squad in the next 14 days, then Celtic will win nothing this season, in my opinion. So that there's a big onus on the hierarchy to go and deliver a bit of quality. And right now, as it stands, Rangers will fancy their chances. But I still think, I know it's only 6 points, but it's a big 6 points with 16 games to go. Let's see what the situation is with Lawrence Shankland, because that could be key.
Yeah.
If news comes through, for example, that Shankland's out for 4 or 5 games, that will put a serious dent, considering the next 5 fixtures. That will put a serious dent in Hearts' title challenge.
Barry, on the cup itself, Mark thinks Rangers.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. They're in good form. I'm looking at Thursday. You go full pelt Thursday. You go for it. You need to get points on the board. And I know you've got Dundee at home on the Sunday, but you can't even think of that. You just go and you make sure you get your first 3 points in the Europa League against a team who are sitting third in the Bulgarian league. You're at home, under the lights, Thursday night. make sure you get to 3 points, and then you can start thinking about Sunday.
After the break, will you give us your Rangers team for Thursday night then? Skov Ølsen, speaking at the weekend, said, look, I'm here. I want to win trophies.
I would love to win trophies, but I know it's one game at the time. We have to focus on one game and then hopefully see where it ends in the end of the season, but we're going for it for sure.
Quick break and then we're back.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
Yep, the weekend of football has come and gone. No major shocks in the Scottish Cup, but try telling that to David Gray and Hibs, the winners in 2016. It won't be them in 2026. Mark said he reckoned, if pushed, it could be Rangers for the Cup. What do you think? 08, 08, 17, 17, 700. We heard from Martin O'Neill before the break, but we're still looking to see if there's any signings whatsoever for Celtic in this window. Rangers paraded 3 players. One of them, the fullback, Barry, will be out for another few weeks, we reckon.
Yeah, I seen that. I was a bit disappointed because I was desperate to see him, but he's out for 2 or 3 weeks, which is not ideal. So hopefully we see him pretty soon. Heard a lot of good reports about him. He's got good experience for a young man. He's a Belgium under-21 international. He's got a good amount of first-team games under his belt. So he's another one that I'm looking forward to seeing in a Rangers strip, but unfortunately it will not be for the next few weeks.
Could there still be a loan deal for one of the players at Sunderland? A couple of them have been mentioned, 10 days ago. Could you see some business between Rangers and Sunderland?
Yeah, I still believe that Rangers will do some more business. Whether that's another midfield player, they'll try and, I would imagine, try and get a striker in as well if one striker does go. And it looks like Danilo could be the one that could depart. Because if you do look at it, there's not a lot of goals being scored in the forward areas, and that's something that I'm sure the manager will be looking to add to the team. Somebody who can go and make that difference in the final third.
Danilo came in with such... the Rangers fans had heard what a player he's going to be. He's got talent, Barry. He's a bit of an enigma. Would that be fair?
Yeah, he's certainly got talent. It's been a bit stop-start. He had a serious facial injury, but he got up at McDermott Park against St Johnstone. Then he came back for that. Then he got a real bad one in his knee, where he was out for, I think, about 6 or 7 months. He's just found game time hard to come by. And sometimes it's better to go and look elsewhere. And I do think he has been made available for transfer. So it looks to me that he might need to go elsewhere to find that.
Will he play on Thursday night? I guess my question is no, he won't. No. What do you reckon the Rangers team is for?
My team, I would go with Butler in goals. I would go with back four. I'd go with Tav, Suter, Fernandez, Magoma. I'd go a midfield 3 of Chukwani, Raskin and Deal. I'd just put them straight in. And I'd go Moore on the left, bring Olsen on the right, and Chermiti through the middle.
Sounds strong. Mark, you like the sound of Barry's projected team for Thursday?
That's a good team. That's one that's, really whet the Rangers supporters' appetite for turning up. You always like to see a new player or two if you can, and that's certainly a starting 11 that can go and win the game.
Skov Ølsen spoke. We heard him in the first hour, and he said, look, I've got more to come.
Definitely, yeah. I believe I have much more to give and to develop more and become a better player every day. So, yeah, definitely.
And if you missed it, he was asked, and he answers this well, what kind of player are you?
I am an offensive player, mostly on the wing. I would describe myself as a creative player. I like to, as I also said earlier, to set my mates up, do assists, shoot on goal, come inside, come outside, go to the back line, put some crosses. So yeah, hopefully I can contribute with the goals and assists.
Mark, a player that could excite the Rangers fans.
Yeah, I like Scandinavian, but English is good. Set my mates up. Brilliant wee phrases. Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing him playing. Paul, I love players that can come in to the Scottish game and entertain. If he's that kind of player that wants to say, you want my fullback, I'm getting at you. I want to go and get at you. It's not always, for me, too many wide players now, Paul. It's so robotic. You want to come inside and pass. No, have a go. Go and have a go at the fullback and then cut inside or get to the byline, whatever it may be. So yeah, it sounds like He sounds like a player that's going to entertain the Rangers fan and is going to be, most importantly, he's going to be a difference maker in the final third of the pitch.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, wide players, when they get in the opposition half, go and attack the fullback, go and be direct and positive. And I feel Ølsen is that type of player that Rangers have been crying out for. He plays on the right hand side, he likes to cut in the left, he can go inside and outside, he's very direct, he's got a goal in him. I think he scored just over 80 goals in his career, which is pretty decent. So he is certainly one that I'm looking forward to seeing in a Rangers jersey, and hopefully that's in Thursday night.
Darren's been on a Rangers fan saying that he likes the sound of that team, Barry, and he also thinks he could be good for Chermiti. Do you think there could be a good on-field relationship with Skov Ølsen?
Well, it takes time to build relationships, but that's why you train hard, you train beside each other. Look, number 9s want balls into the box, and sometimes I don't think Rangers deliver enough balls, but that's something that, as the manager's been in, each game you see they're starting to pepper the goals more often. But that's what you want for wide players. I agree with what Mark says. A lot of wide players go and they'll play it back to their fullback, they'll take the easy option. I want difference makers in that opposition half, and certainly looking at the clips and hearing what people have had to say about him, he's certainly he's certainly a player, that'll excite Rangers fans.
It's going to be a fascinating run in. Where are we? January, middle of January now, the 19th mark. It's marching in. 14 days left in the window. My goodness, it's just over 2 weeks. In fact, 2 weeks ago today, Wilfred Nancy woke up as the Celtic manager, and the day ended with the news that Martin O'Neill was back. Celtic off to Bologna on Wednesday. For Martin O'Neill, you do suspect that in some ways, remember when he went back down south, I got the feeling that he'd loved his 4 or 5, 6 weeks at Celtic. Well, he only lost one game. Was that the Midtjylland game?
Yep.
So he's back in, Mark, and whatever, 3 games, Dundee United 4-0, then, OK, it's been narrower, but it's 3 wins. So Bologna, how's he going to look at this? Is this his Michelin game?
Well, three wins and 3 clean sheets as well to boot,
good point.
Paul. But I think if you look at Celtic's position, 2 games to go, Bologna away, Utrecht at home, 1-1 out of 2 games, maybe enough. 4, I think 4 would definitely get you into the next sort of stage. Bologna on paper, going away to Bologna is going to be the tougher out of the 2. But then, you mentioned Midtjylland, absolutely. But then you can flip that and say, well, let's have a Feyenoord performance. Sure. It depends what way you want to go. What I think he will do is I would imagine, would be of the mindset, let's go and try and do what we need to do to win the game, or make sure we don't lose the game on Thursday night, which will give you confidence. So if you imagine how the Celtic players felt coming back from that Feyenoord game, I can't remember who they played the Sunday, but if you look at that this time, going to be at the league game, the biggest league game of the season on Sunday, one they cannot afford to lose. So I think he'll try and go with pretty much the same team that he gives the opportunity to on Thursday. And what he'll be saying to the Celtic players, which I always say, Paul, applies to Celtic players, it applies to Rangers players going Thursday, Sunday or Wednesday, Saturday if you're in the Champions League. If you can't handle 2 games in 4 days, 2 big games, big pressure games, then you shouldn't be anywhere near a Celtic jersey anyway. So I'll pick the best available 11 to go and get the job done, and I think that's what he'll do.
Is your brother Derek going over to watch his son, your nephew, Bologna against Celtic?
I honestly don't know. I seen Lewis didn't play at the weekend. He's been kind of in and out of the Bologna team. Got the last 20 minutes, they suffered a defeat to Fiorentina 2-1. I would like to think he would play on Thursday. I'd like to think.
How's he feeling about the game? I mean, I would imagine as a Scot, he's desperate to play against Celtic.
Yeah, I would.
As a Ferguson,
I would. I'd imagine so that he's looking forward to it. He'll be chatting at the bit to start. There's no doubt about that. Against Celtic, he'll have a lot of knowledge. I'd like to think their managers going off what Lewis is telling him about about Celtic. Listen, they're going to be different under Martin O'Neill. There's no doubt about it. So that'll be one I'll be watching with interest on Thursday night.
Mark, it's a great one. You often covered these games, and that's obviously one that for the headline writers, you're just watching Lewis Ferguson's performance against the Scottish champions.
Yeah, it's got a real sexiness about the fixture. Paul, Europa League tie, Bologna, because of the Lewis Ferguson connection, because he is the captain of a Serie A side, which I think it's just a wonderful thing to say. He was a young Scotsman who's gone out there as a kid. The odds stacked against him, let's be honest, but he's embraced it. He's fluent in the language. He's made an impression. He's got the respect of his teammates, and he's a club captain, and he's been linked with a £25 million move to Juventus. So you think about all that, you think it's great. He'll relish coming up against Callum McGregor. McGregor will relish coming up against him. So it's got all the makings of a really good tie, and one that we'll all be keeping an eye on.
The kind of young pretender looking at history, France and Scotland, in his case, Italy, Bologna. Mark, do you know, Barry, have you been over? You've not been over to see him yet. You must go over.
Yeah, listen, busy man.
I know you are.
Busy man.
Well, you could go over for the Bologna Celtic game.
Well, listen, you never know. But listen, it's good that he's coming up against somebody that he'll respect, I would imagine, in Callum McGregor. So that'll be a good test. I just want to see him start the game and get back to the levels that we all know that Lewis can get to. So look, that'll be an interesting game, that one. They've been up and down this season, Bologna. Normally they're a more consistent team, but we just need to wait and see. It's two good games. Obviously Rangers are at home against Ludogorets and Bologna are at home against Celtic. So
we'll have both games on Thursday night, because the Celtic game is 5:45, so we'll be on early taking you through that one. Mark, for Celtic, you mentioned last week, I heard you saying about with Martin O'Neill back in, you almost said look for Schmeichel to improve again. And I think when you watched last night, anyone who thought, Sinisalo might be the preferred option, I would think it's back to Schmeichel. What do you feel?
Well, I think that given what's at stake, Paul, and I know that Schmeichel, compared to last season, he's cost Celtic a few goals this season, there's no doubt about that, but he's also come up with big saves. League Cup semi-final against Rangers, 2 really big saves. Falkirk the other night, really big save. So he does have big saves in him. He's just tossed a couple of goals this season. I thought that given Sinisalo's run of 5 or 6 games last season, he impressed me, including his performance at Ibrox. Looking at it now, and I might be doing it because he's not had the chance of a run of games. However, I've always said in this programme, Paul, never underestimate the importance of having a top goalkeeper. And I expect Schmeichel, again, whether it's Martin O'Neill or a different manager for the new season, I don't think it'll be Celtic's number one next season. They need to go and find one. That'll be a really difficult thing to do, considering they're probably going to be looking for 7 or 8, 9 players to come in the summer with a squad overhaul. As I say, Ortega at Man City, I have a feeling it might be out their reach, Paul, to be honest, financially. But if they were to get that one over the line, if there is an interest in him, I think Ortega is an exceptional goalkeeper. I really do. Anytime, he filled in for the boy Ederson.
It's one of the most important. It's one of the most important positions, if not the most important, alongside a serious number 9. Honestly, you need a top class goalkeeper. And I always say a top class goalkeeper, in my opinion, is worth 12 to 15 points a season. No doubt in my mind about that.
Celtic fans, the Record Online saying exclusive that talks have been going on late in the day today, in the afternoon, at Lennoxtown. Michael Nicholson was there, Martin O'Neill was there, so too the coaching staff, and they reckon this is a powwow about what's going to happen now. Martin O'Neill's made it clear. I mean, anyone could tell you they need to get signings for the Hearts game, so that's in the Record just now, Mark. I'm not saying it's breaking news, but there have been talks late this afternoon at Lennoxtown, and it could hardly be otherwise.
See the players that Celtic are going to sign, if they do sign players this transfer window, they have to be getting into that starting 11. They have to.
And the thing for me, Paul, is I don't want to be like overly pessimistic, but I'm painting a scenario that may well happen. If Celtic don't get bodies, quality in for Sunday, then they lose on Sunday. is it worth still? What does the remaining week of the transfer window look like for Celtic, considering the base good is out of the title race? So, and so really, it's like the way they dealt with the Champions League qualify. Why are you waiting? Go and get your players in when you need them now. When the window just didn't open this morning, it's been open for 15 days. They've known for a year that they need a number 9, if not 2 number 9s, considering Ian Atshaw's attendance record. No doubt he's a good player, but his attendance record just isn't there. So I'm not surprised there's a powwow. I thought you were actually going to say that breaking news is there's a couple of bodies in the building to go and get ready to prepare for Sunday. They'll need to get that done quickly.
Callum Wilson, I doubt if he'll be coming in the building, Barry, because he scored, didn't he? And what a goal for West Ham. It was so important
what a
in the
result
derby.
For West Ham.
I know.
They needed that at the weekend.
There's no way he's coming then, is there? I mean, it would be brilliant if he did.
I very much doubt it. The only thing about Callum Wilson is, again, his attendance in terms of injuries. He's a top player in my opinion. There's no doubt about that. But I just can't see that one happening.
Mark, that would certainly cheer up the Celtic fans, I would imagine, given that he scored the winner at the weekend in the derby with Tottenham. And we know he can score, and he's on a pay-as-you-play deal. So the Celtic row the boat out, go in, bish, bash, bosh, get Callum Wilson.
Well, I don't know if he's an option. Would he enhance the Celtic team? Would he go right into the starting lineup against Hearts? Yeah, he would. Yes. There's no doubt about that. But whether he's a realistic target or not, I don't know, Paul, to be honest. But to be honest, you know what I think? Well, do you know what I do know? If I'm involved at a football club and a realistic budget to go and find a number 9 for your manager, give me a couple of days, I'd go and get you 20 names that could go and enhance the team for Sunday. I could. Yep. Within a £5 million budget and a 30 grand a week wage or whatever. Or a loan deal. So I'll go back to the point. I don't buy it. It's you can't get business done this month. I'm not saying it's an easy month. I get it. It's a more difficult month than what the summer is. But it's not an impossible month. And for me, 19 days, we're in January 19, 19 days into the transfer window and Celtic still don't have a number 9 in is unacceptable. And that's where you've got to praise Martin O'Neill, because despite that, they beat Dundee United and they beat a really tricky game at Falkirk. So despite him not being delivered a number 9, he's still managing to win games. But that can't go on forever. And if they don't get somebody in the building by Sunday, it may come back to haunt them.
Tell you what, I'll give you 2 minutes plus a break. Give me 5 names.
Okay, right. That's a promise, Barry. You've got 2 minutes. We're back after this.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
Yeah, what a weekend it was for, Dunfermline. Neil Lennon winning for Dunfermline against Hibs, his former team. And you know the draw. Only 2 teams still to qualify for the next round. It's either going to be Stranraer or Queen's Park, and they face Rangers, so a bumper payday for them. Celtic will play Dundee. Elgin City against Partick Thistle. Well done to Mark Wilson winning at the weekend. Stenhousemuir against Falkirk. Big winners against Morton. That's Stenhousemuir against the Bairns, quietly going about their business year after year. Dunfermline Kelty Hearts, the derby. Dundee United against Spartans, and United needed a win at the weekend. Airdrie against St Mirren, a really good West of Scotland tie. And Aberdeen against Motherwell. 0808 17 17 700. Barry, you laid down the gauntlet just before the break there about some signings that Celtic could have, you and Mark.
Yeah, I gave him 2 minutes plus extra time.
Yep. With the
and listen, I think he's going to come up with it.
Who could Celtic sign in the window, which has got 14 days to go? Mark,
I gave him a budget.
That's it. And the budget was?
£5 million.
£5 million. Okay. That's your time's up.
What about for the other leg? I tell you, look, just talk.
Yeah,
I've not put it, just top of my head. We're having a wee bit of fun here.
Yep.
A wee bit of fun. I tell you who I like. I like Emil Jacobson at Bristol City. Big Scandinavian centre forward. Scored a hat-trick against Watford in the FA Cup last week. I like Shea Adams at Torino. They got him in a free. Going to have a wee nibble there. Maswanhise at Motherwell, I like him. Well, I don't think he's an out-and-out number 9. I tell you, like the long shot, as in would have been I don't think he'd been the radar, but he's a big boy. He's got a great CV, and for 4 months, Carlton Morris at Derby used to be at Luton Town.
Yeah.
I like Carlton Morris. And if all else fails, pick up the phone to Henrik Larsson. But apart from that, they're just a few names off the top of my head.
All right, what about Jacobson at Bristol? What do you reckon about him, Barry?
Yeah, he's been a revelation there. Knows where the back of the net is. But I seen, I think it was the summer and in January, Bristol City are like going out and spending like 10 million quid on players.
It'd probably be too expensive to go on.
And the wages, Barry, what, 40 grand a week?
This is the problem you've got. You can't even compete with championship teams. The amount of money that they can go and spend. But look, I agree with Mark. Everybody says it's a tough window. Of course it's tougher than the summer, but there's players out there that are available that would make a difference, in my opinion.
They're getting paid plenty in some of the football departments. What about Shea Adams then? Scored, 2 goals last weekend?
Yeah, it definitely suited our game. Physical, he's a hard worker. The only thing that you would probably label against Shea Adams is he an out-and-out goal scorer? But you know what you're getting.
And
there's no surprises there with Shea Adams. You know, he can hold the ball up. He's, as I said, he's strong. He's a willing runner. So I could see that. Mark's right. Torino got him in a free transfer.
And you get a motivated player because he wants to be...
Well, you know what's happening in the summer.
Yeah, exactly. Mark, Shea Adams, so what about him? What's the case? If I was the head of football, how would you sell it to me?
Well, look, but you obviously need to go and establish the Torino want to sell. Would the boy be interested? I dare say he's on an attractive salary, given that he was signed in a free from was it Southampton? They got him from maybe I can't remember. Look, Paul, Barry set me a wee challenge, a wee bit of fun. I was just trying to come up with 4 or 5 names, but my main point is that this scenario is not new to Celtic. It's not just been sprung on them, and they really need to help Martin O'Neill out. Martin O'Neill really can't do any more. Like I said, look at his record in the league. I highlighted this the other night. Celtic have played 22 games in the league. They've got 44 points, right? That's an average of 2 points a game.
Yeah.
Martin O'Neill has been in charge for 7 league games. He's won all 7. So in 7 league games, Martin O'Neill was responsible for almost half of Celtic's total from another 15 league games. 21 points out of 44. What he's done is remarkable. Genuinely. Yeah. Remarkable, considering they don't have a number 9. But they need to go and help him. Because I don't know if Barry would agree. I'm of the opinion, if Celtic have not improved their squad, probably by Sunday, they will not win the league. They will not retain the title. It's paramount that they get some quality in for Sunday.
And it could happen quite quickly, Mark, couldn't it? That it could change. Barry, you said it earlier on. Look at 2020-21. Celtic went behind Rangers and they could never claw it back. And then there was that huge gap. But you remember that period over in COVID and all the rest of it. But Rangers got their noses ahead. For Celtic and maybe Rangers, there's a danger Hearts get further ahead. And if they win this Sunday, they're going to be hard to catch.
Yeah, they will certainly have the win on Sunday, and I still believe that Hearts will go and strengthen now. But we've just mentioned about Lawrence Shankland. You've got Devlin, who's in the engine room, who's been excellent this season. Let's be honest. So that's 2. They're probably, I would say, they're best players that are going to be missing for a period of time. I'm sure Hearts will go back. I'll dip back into the market and try and bring a few players in.
And we spoke during the break, and Barry, Evan Ferguson, we mentioned him last week. Could he be on the way to Celtic? But there's something you just mentioned.
Yeah, but who's his parent club, Brighton?
Tony Bloom.
Who's involved with Hearts. So I wouldn't imagine that would be one that he would allow to happen.
Mark, because I would reckon that Martin O'Neill would have a good relationship with Evan Ferguson.
There might be some kind of connection there, Paul, but it's just that I would imagine it's a non-starter. I mean, if you're Tony Bloom, you allow Evan Ferguson to go on loan to Celtic and he scores 15 goals to win Celtic the title. Yeah, I think that's the game over for Hearts. So I can understand the connection that's there. I can understand that a loan deal would make sense for a number of reasons rather. but I think it's a non-starter.
Barry at Rangers, Danny Rule has said he's no plans to sell Oliver Antman in the January window. 24-year-old.
Yeah, he's kind of went off the radar. Antman, we all know when his first game, Pilsen, I thought he was outstanding. And it's just not quite clicked for him. He's had an injury that set him back a wee bit. So hopefully he can try and push his way back in. But yeah, he's not played a lot of football, though. Certainly since the new manager's come in. He's genuinely come off the bench. And sometimes he's not even come off the bench or been in the squad. So, but the manager's made it quite clear that he's one that he's not going to try and offload. So now it's up to Antman to try and force his way back into the team.
On Scotland, I see we're going to play Japan March the 28th and Curacao on the 28th of May as we prepare for the World Cup. Just, days after the May game. Mark, looking forward to those two.
Yeah, obviously the first one, Japan, it'll be interesting. Obviously, a bit of connection there with Scottish football and a couple of the Celtic players, etc. Japan have got a really, really good squad. Paul, look at the players are dotted about. Is it Minamoto? What's the boy's name at Brighton? I think he's brilliant. Boy on the left-hand side. So you look, they've got a really good side. So that'll be an attractive fixture. And then, of course, we'll wait and see what Scotland do. They'll play a couple of games before it starts. There's talk of them playing a game maybe in June the 5th in New York or something like that. Once they get to their training camp, I don't think the training camp has been selected yet where they're going to base themselves for the duration. But it's starting to get exciting, Paul. There's no doubt about that. And on is it March 28th is the fixture?
Yep.
The full house at Hampden.
It sure will be, won't it?
52,000 there.
Is Maeda playing for Japan? Can Kyogo get his way back into it? Is Hatate going to be playing? Barry, those are two good warm-up. I mean, whoever we're playing, the fans will be desperate to see our players.
Yeah, there's so much excitement because we've reached the World Cup for the first time in what was that, 28 years. So these are games that the fans will be desperate to go and watch. Dick Advocat.
Yeah, indeed. Well. Yeah, 78 years young. Yeah, the manager.
Yeah, how many jobs is Dick
Amazing.
Jesus.
How many? Have a guess. Roughly 20.
Do you know what? He's not changed.
Is he not? No.
See, when I actually seen him do an interview when the draw was on. I know you got all the managers expressing their opinion on who they've got in the group. He's not changed.
No. Is it Botox?
Hair transplant places you.
It's not working.
Certainly isn't it?
But Barry, Dick Advocat was a great influence on you, wasn't he? And
listen, do you know what? He was a brilliant coach and a brilliant manager. Listen, he took my game to the next level, should I say. He was obviously the nickname a little general, but I'm sure Mark done many an interviews with him. When you actually sit down and talk, he's a great guy.
Yes.
He was. Yeah. But listen, very strict, and listen, if you didn't do your job properly, well, that wasn't acceptable. Yeah. You found yourself out the team. You want to be playing. But listen, I thoroughly enjoyed the team that he actually built when he came in. He built a brilliant team for 3 years. It was an absolute joy to play in that team.
Sense of humour, Mark, when you were 1-on-1 being interviewing him?
I have to say, I enjoyed it. Like I was saying earlier about Skov Ølsen and the Danish Scandinavian boys. You always get a good turnout of them. Their English was great. They were willing to converse, they were willing to open up. And Dick was the same. I mean, very, very rarely would you come out of a press conference not getting a line out of Dick Advocat. If you think back, he was very, very opinionated. You think of some of the run-ins he had, with Lorenzo Amoruso, George Alberts. He wasn't shy to let players know. But what I loved about him, and I think it really ingratiated him, Scottish football, to the Rangers fans, that he came in the door and he made it one of his priorities that I am going to give Barry Ferguson, one of the best young talents in Scottish football, the best possible chance to become a top Rangers player and a top footballer. And he done that, and he worked hard with you, even to the point, like, off the field, rooming you with Arthur Newman, a senior pro, to try and, good habits, etc, etc, etc. So, he was great. And I'd love to count up, Paul, between clubs and international jobs. Since he left Rangers in 2001, I would guess off the top of my head, he's had at least 20 jobs. Remember the great escape with Sunderland as
That's
well.
right, he did, of course. All right, do you know we've run out of time? It's flown in. Will you both come back on Friday night?
Yes.
Tomorrow night, Stephen O'Donnell will be here along with Peter Grant. That's tomorrow night at 5. Jokel Day is next.